Hello, Guardians. It is Ebontis here. It is July 3rd. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend, but we have a Master Lost Sector that I've been putting some practice into, so if you would like to as well. We've got Perdition. Today it's going to be exotic chest armor if you guys are looking to do this. It is doable, and I'm doing it with a pretty crappy loadout, so hopefully I can show you guys if you use your exotics, your supers, and everything else, you should be able to finish this one. So we do have Vex champions, Barrier and Overload. The Overload are the two annoying ones. Barriers really aren't too bad. Vex modifier is Shocker. Pretty much if you kill a goblin, they're going to leave a pile of electricity on the ground. Don't touch that stuff. Doesn't feel good. Destination modifier is Arc and aerial damage taken. So try not to be flying through the air when you get hit. Master modifier is Famine, so ammo is going to be a bit of an issue, and trust me, some of my runs it has definitely come up. Other times the scavenger and, ammo finders work, so it's hit or miss. Burn is Arc. That's what we want to make sure and pay attention to for our damage. So, first thing I've got, Barrier Scout Rifle and Overload Hand Cannon, just my typical two that I tend to use. Totally your preference on this one. For me, hand cannons, it takes 1, 2, 3 shots to get that stagger. Personally, that's a bit more reliable, and I'm doing this with just a generic weapon. Make sure major spec is on whatever you're using for your champion weapons. That's crucial. If you want more damage on champions, make sure major spec is on your heavy as well. And you see a linear fusion rifle. I'm using a linear fusion rifle just to show you guys you can do this with almost anything. Probably not a sword, but I was using a grenade launcher. I was like, of course you could use a grenade launcher, possibly a rocket launcher that's arc, which I don't have in here, but I was like, I'm going to do this on a linear fusion rifle for entertainment value. So we got it done. I'm going to show you guys how I did it. As for mods, I did have, that one on there. That really wasn't helping too much. I could do this for a little bonus damage. Couple random mods that you can throw in here, powerful friends, but I'm doing all this solo, so not a bunch of the mods are going to help. Linear fusion scavenger, linear fusion reserves, linear fusion ammo finder, definitely put those on there. One that will help, protective light, and they're selling it today. Protective light is being sold from 801 today, so if you see this video, if nothing else, go buy this mod, even if you don't want to do the lost sector. Whenever you get charged with the light, 1 stack, you're going to get more damage resilience. 2, you're going to get even more. Basically, what happens is when you lose your shields, it's kind of the top 2/3 of your health. When you get down to that final third, you're going to be able to resist more damage. If you have 1 stack, it's more. If you have 2 stacks, it's even more. 2 stacks usually is pretty consistent. I have this on basically just all the time. I leave it here. It's pretty much always on my boots for survivability. This is being sold today. If nothing else, make sure you please go buy this one for sure. I'm using Surge Detonators and Sundering Blast. Surge Detonators are a nice way to handle the Overload champions because they will be a bit chargy. So they're a backup way to stagger them, also a way to continuously put damage into them, maybe while you're reloading or doing what you have to do. Sundering Blast also helps. If you're not using a grenade launcher, which is what I was using earlier, if you're not using this, you may as well, every time you stagger a champion, have them explode, do damage to them, and anything around them. So that pretty much covers the mods. Now, granted, if you have Anarchy, I'm sure it absolutely kicks butt in here. I haven't, this grenade launcher, for example, was doing extremely well. Any arc rocket launcher also would probably do fantastic. I don't imagine swords are going to be great. Machine guns, sadly, not as good as they should be. They did mention that in the patch notes. They're working on it. But when it comes to arc grenade launchers, you'd have Sleepless. You can go get that from the Dreaming City. You've got Huscow, if you still have one of those floating around. Sub-Zero Salvo, that was from Beyond Light. So you've got some options when it comes to those for arc, but again, grenade launchers, Interference is a pretty good one. That's the main one. Blast Batu, I can probably never say that right. But I know linear fusion rifles are not that great, but I'm going to do it in spite of them not being that great. So, no exotic. You guys use any exotic you want to. If I was using Thunder Crash, Curious of the Fallen Star. Not even using double grenades. I'm using Thunder Crash, and I'm not even going to cast my super. So, all the stuff I'm not using is basically to show you guys you should be able to manage this one with some patience, with some practice, and a decent loadout. So, here we go. All right, so when you start out, you're going to have one big Hydra, and you're going to have quite a few Harpies floating around with arc shields. So, your energy weapon is going to need to be arc. I may not have mentioned that in the beginning, but your energy weapon is going to need to be arc. Now, if you want to go arc hand cannon and then, say, a kinetic or arc hand cannon and like a kinetic scout rifle, you could totally do that as well. You can come up to this little perch, and the angle of those shots is usually going to hit right below you. Just make sure your health isn't going anywhere, and you should be able to move into the back of the room. If any ammo dropped, you can grab that, but before you do, my advice is to put damage into this guy. As you have a barrier scout rifle, you can shoot straight through it. Now, the reason I'm going barrier scout and I'm doing an arc scout rifle, this is a pretty standard one. It's Eternal Blazing, I think it was from last season. Pretty normal looking roll. The reason I'm going arc scout rifle is because my ranged weapon is going to be able to have the bonus of the arc burn, so it has the benefit of doing a bit more damage. Now, the two guys that are going to be annoying in here are going to be the two Void Overload Captains. Now, what I'm likely going to do is try and save a grenade for those. My advice is if you got a super for the one later on and you just, you know, want to get rid of them, you can manage that. But this guy's probably going to be the most annoying of all of them. So what I'm trying to do is lower his health a little bit, get him close enough so I can hit him with a grenade, try and stagger him a little bit here. Then if I can hit him once with my heavy, he's gone. Now, you can do the same thing. The alternative to this, if you don't want to use an arc subclass, you can use a void subclass. You just get rid of your surge detonators, and as there's only 2 red bar shields, they can be a little annoying, and even if you die to them once or twice, it's not the end of the world. Unless you're going for a flawless run, I wouldn't worry too much. So once you've cleared out, you know, the Minotaur in this second wave, once you cross about here, I was like, I knew it was right around there, you're going to get the next piece to go. So pull back, and you're going to have a lot of enemies that spawn up at the top. Quite a few harpies, couple hobgoblins, so be careful of the snipes. Work these enemies from far away if you can. Keep them busy. Again, scout rifle versus an auto rifle in here just feels like it's kind of a must for the range that you're putting on these enemies. You shoot the hobgoblin, you're running low on ammo, you know, just save it so you pop their head off. If you pop the head off a hobgoblin and it starts running after you, be aware that it's going to be a bit aggressive. It's not really messing around. Now, sometimes the overload will tuck over there. I feel like there's one more guy in here, but maybe not. Now, make sure your linear fusion rifle's reloaded if you're dumb enough to use one. Thanks for trying it. Honestly, I recommend a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher. I'm just showing you guys how this can work otherwise. Once you get him to peek out of his little corner, takes a second if you walk up close enough. And again, there's the hobgoblin. I knew there was one more ad. If you can get him to pop out, what you got to do, he's going to start charging, hit him 3 times, get him to stagger. Now, the Sundering Blast is nice because that actually takes care of part of the damage for you. So if you're not using a grenade launcher, it's actually a pretty good way to go. And I got some more ammo. Bonus. Now, this next one is probably the hardest and where you're likely going to die when you're getting used to this thing. There's an overload captain that comes at the top of the stairs. Now, if you can time it right and hit those like 4 linear fusion shots or unload a breach and load grenade launcher is actually probably going to be better because if you have, you know, 4 ammo, you get some breach and clear on there. It's going to be doing pretty well. The issue with a rocket launcher is you probably won't kill them in one rocket. And the way these overload champions, unlike the captains that kind of teleport back and forth and you can kind of manage, you know, plinking damage into them, overloads just run at you, the overload minotaurs. So you almost need to take them out on the stun, or when they unstun, they're likely going to nuke you on master. So, show you guys how this one works for me. Similar thing you can do with a grenade launcher. It's going to be a little harder when it comes to... Now, this is the point where this guy can kill fairly quick. And that's about as quick as I can kill him. Grenade launcher is still the fastest for sure, because I can just dump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with breach and clear. It's over. Now, that Hydra is just pissed. He's the one from earlier. He just teleported to this part of the room. He doesn't really stop firing until you kind of, back off. If you can find a decent angle, you got a barrier weapon, so plink some damage on him. This is again why an arc scout rifle is a good thing in here. Has some benefits. There we go. So again, hopefully you guys will be able to see. If I can do this with a linear fusion rifle, every so often the ammo looks like that. You guys are going, geez, that's a lot of heavy ammo on the ground. I know. It's going to be nice to have, but believe me, on my last run, I was pretty close to out. So you have, you know, feast or famine in these things, quite literally. Now this dude just spawned where I could actually look at him. I'm probably going to die by all the guys surrounding it, so I'm going to have to wait. Now, it's usually basically the enemies will spawn as you approach farther into the room, and this is where our fun guy is going to come out again. This is where I want to figure out where he's going to be, hit him with a grenade, try and stun him as much as I can, and then keep trying to break that shield. As soon as that shield is broken, you want to push. Even if it's linear fusion, do what you can, because if you don't have any void stuff like I have, you basically have to force the shield down, not in the greatest way, basically. So you kind of got to take advantage and be aggressive if that shield goes down. Unless you're going for flawless, if that shield drops, kill it. Like, use your super right there, even if it's a full Thunder Crash on one red bar. Just do it so you don't have to worry about him, since you did pop the shield. Just my advice, at least. Couple goblins here. Now, as I said, I have a ton of ammo. Let's see if I can do it without touching these bricks. Now, you're going to have a champion in the back on the stairs over there, and then you're going to have a champion kind of over up in this little, I don't know, balcony area is a bad way to describe it. Basically, what you want to do is do enough damage and have him look at you to where he will... Oh, God, he hurts. Get him to pop his shield. And if you can get him to pop his shield and be reloaded, because I'm smart... The crits on linear fusions are crucial, but at least if you miss... Slow down on the other two. There we go. Make your shots count, and that's the issue. Another issue with the linear fusions. Critting Vex, kind of an annoying thing to do. Again, as you creep up a little farther... You might grab some primary ammo. Again, I'm sure I'll run over that heavy ammo chunk later on. But for now, the most annoying guys to fight of all of them, Wyverns. There's not really a great way to do this that I've found, unless you're just going to go hand. You can use a grenade launcher if you got heavy on the ammo. If you have heavy on the ground like that right there, use a grenade launcher, breach and clear, and bust him up. But as a linear fusion needs a crit spot, and getting a crit spot to appear on a Wyvern is kind of like, you know, finding a needle in a haystack. This is just patience. All it is, get him to follow you down the stairs, slowly strafe around this angled corner, kind of shoot his little wing that pops out, get him down low enough, follow him up the stairs if he starts to pull back, keep putting some shots in, do this little tango on the stairs for a little while. You get him low enough, you might actually be able to finish him, but that's also somewhat of a risky endeavor. If you can catch him in the back, then you can probably finish him. His finish isn't the most obvious, but it actually usually comes on fairly early. He was only about half health. I ran over the ammo, so my bad. Hey, what do you know? Random triumph. So I picked up the ammo. Sorry. But these guys actually, while they are annoying, you can finish them when they're about 50% health. So just sit here and put some damage into them for a little while. The more boring piece of this one, for sure. It's not difficult. These shots aren't exactly like... It's like I'm playing Returnal, dodging arcade shots right now. That's kind of all you're doing. Just don't get overwhelmed. If they get up on top of you and start moving at you, just push back a little bit. Apparently the hand cannon is slow. That's why your burn weapon matters. Each one of these shots is for 1,000. Hand cannon, while it's probably ranged right now, it's definitely weaker. Now be careful. Your other barrier champion's going to be in that window over there. So be careful how aggressive you push up. Watch walking behind a very weird thing on a wall and being stuck. You know, gotta love live commentary. What can I say? Now, if I get a grenade I can throw out there and put some damage in on... So my grenade just got eaten by the ground, or it went too far, but yeah, that was cute. But he finally got to be a little aggressive. You did see that quick flash, so technically I can finish him. Just sometimes it's hard to come across. I'm going to grab the normal ammo, since I haven't used my heavy yet. Reload this guy. I would be... Theoretically, I've got more probably coming, but if not, that's okay too. Make sure you kill the normal guys first. You just have to kill the champions over here. Easiest way to fight the champions, get them to fight you at the top of the stairs over here. So usually one's going to be here, one's going to be rotating over there. So one will be up here on his own. The other one, if he sees you, will eventually head this way as well. So you got a couple options. You can fight him through this little crevice, or basically use the stairs, which is the easiest. Once he starts to show up, put some damage in. Be ready to break his barrier shield. There we go. And then once that shows up, sometimes, for whatever reason, Sundering Blast does not always proc. It just doesn't. Now the shield's opened. As soon as I kind of get to the top of the stairs, things are going to open up. As you guys can see, ammo's going to be hit or miss. I still got 2 bricks down there I haven't even touched. Once you kind of cross into this room, there it is. You'll get everything to spawn, which will include the boss. You can nuke the boss early, make your life a little easier, if you want. If you can hit his crit spot, it's actually going to stagger him fairly well. And you'll notice the chunks of damage that I'm able to do. Now, if you don't clear all the ads, you're going to have a lot of ads, but the ads really aren't too bad. But if you get them low enough, if you get the boss low enough, you're going to start getting champions. So once the champions show up, just be aware that they're there. There are 2 hobgoblins, one on the right, one on the left. So if you use this staircase for cover, you're going to be safe for a little while. Nice thing about spawning all the ads, when those shields start, you know, combusting, they tend to kill each other. So it works pretty well. And again, half of this will always depend on your ammo situation. Now, his shots are not always going to hit the stairs, but if you get him dumb enough to stand still, then use it. He's going to dance on me. I'll wait a minute. Told you the crit spots on Vex are a bit of a pain in the butt. You can finish him with a scout rifle shot. Alright, so he's dead. So now, you got a few more ads, and then once you kill enough of the ads, you're going to get the champions to push to the back of the room. Now, this is not a bad place to hide from once you've got the boss down. Don't do this before the boss is dead. Now, if you can keep a few of the ads alive to my left and not too many of them creep up, you can actually work the barrier hobgoblin from here. If he starts to run back, there's not a whole lot you can do. It's just going to get a little spicy. So I'll show you guys the bad version. If some of the ads will stay to the left, you can actually kill one of the hobgoblins here and keep them separated. If you clear all the ads, now you have to deal with both of them together. And the hard part is sometimes they stack on top of each other. And there's not a lot you can do about it because they're going to be like, oh, what's my friend doing? Oh, what's my friend doing? And they're just like this constant array of sunshine over here. So try and only let one be able to shoot you and see you. Preferably the one in the front. And then if you can go for the linear shots. Be ready with the scout rifle for the damage. There's one. And again, reload your scout rifle. Make sure... Wow, he went for the shield early. Thundering Blast actually procs for a change. Again, something like that happens. Be ready with the scout. Be on top of it. Shoot it in the arm, the elbow, whatever you got to do to break that shield. And that's doing a Master Lost Sector with a linear fusion rifle. I know if I can do this with a linear, hopefully this guide will help you guys show you that it's doable. With pretty much anything else, I would not recommend this method. And no exotic this time, but that's okay. Got it down to about, 10 or 11 minutes. So let's get back to orbit and we'll wrap things up. And that pretty much does wrap it up. So the two overloads are going to be the most annoying. The two void minotaurs, you can take care of those how you feel comfortable. The grenades, and then just kind of forcing their shield down and shooting them with a heavy kind of works. It's not the best. Basically, the main reason I was doing that is just to make sure I had surge detonators as a backup for the overload captains. But honestly, one quick stagger with a hand cannon, about 4 or 5 shots with, linear fusion rifle, they were down. Same thing will happen with a decent grenade launcher. Rocket launcher is going to be the weird one for the overloads because you'll be able to shoot it once. I just don't know if you're going to have enough time to reload and either keep the health from going back up or be able to reload and get that second spawn in. So arc rocket launchers, we don't have a great one. Now, if you do something like Wardcliff Coil, that might work. That totally might be an option. So if you go Wardcliff Coil, you're probably going to nuke whatever you're looking at. I actually haven't tried that one yet because I tend not to use exotics, but that's definitely a consideration. I don't even know if Legend of Acrius would just vaporize them or suck. I can't tell. Prospector, full auto, just absolutely launching tons of grenades. You've got some options in your exotics, so definitely feel free to mix it up and use those. But if I did it with the linear fusion rifle, hopefully this shows you guys it can be done. If you guys enjoyed this video and found it beneficial, please drop a like. It's a nice way to help me out. If you have other loadouts that you like using on this Master Lost Sector, please share those below. If you like the content, want to see more of it, hit that subscribe button. It's a nice way to support me. And that alert bell is a nice way to get my videos to your YouTube feed. You guys can find me on Twitch, and you can also find me on Twitter. Twitch, I tend to stream a lot of variety, including Destiny. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you soon.